Yeah, you hear that? That ain't thunder. That's Logisticize rolling in. Headlights cut, small town night dust flies up in the neon light. Hauling miles with a heavy load, pulling up on the gravel road. Steel toe boots on a wooden stage, a little rust and a rebel rage. From the back roads to the show, when the engine starts, you know. Feel that rumble in your chest, like a diesel hard out west. We're Logisticize, going loud and mean. Red dirt rebels on the gasoline dream. Turn it up, let the tailgate drive. We don't slow down, we don't ever stop. From the back road straight to your soul. We came here just to lose control. If you're ready, let me hear you shout. Logisticize is rolling out. Six-string crime, a kick jump pound, booty you're stomping on southern ground. Cold drinks raised till the night's on fire, bringing heat like a flat-out tide. No GPS on a rebel route, we don't ask where we don't have doubt. If there's a stage in a wild crowd, crank it up and we play it loud. Feel that shaking the floor, that's the sound you waited for. We're Logisticize, roll loud and mean. Red dirt rebels on the gasoline train. Turn it up, let the tailgate drive. We don't slow down, we don't ever stop. From the back road straight to your soul. We came here just to lose control. If you're ready, let me hear you shout. Logisticize is rolling out. Logisticize coming in hot, full tank fire, give it all we got. Let it rip like a midnight ride, bring in thunder you can't deny. From a black sock to your hometown bar tonight, we're taking it way too far. So throw them up, let the whole world shout. Logisticize is in the house. Welcome to Logisticize 104. By Doug Holbrook. Y'all ready?
All right, everybody, welcome back. It is Friday. Hope you guys have had a good week out there. We're on what? It's June 26th here. We're on episode 13. And today in the studio, straight from the Stone Age, we have Mr. Mike Akerman joining us straight out of South Georgia. How are we doing, Mike?
Oh, I reckon I'm all right.
Gonna have to get closer to the mic, guys. How was your drive last night getting up here?
It was eventful. How's traffic?
I was to say, how's traffic doing with all that World Cup going on down there?
It's about normal for the areas that I go through. Atlanta and Knoxville, they're both problem areas.
No parking for you? I noticed you made it straight up here almost.
I don't look for parking.
You don't look for parking? Great. This is what a safety broadcast we're going to have here. So, Mike, thank you for coming in. I know you were reluctant to go ahead and do it. Also today with us, we got Rick again. We're going to take a look at some more driver landscape out there. We've gotten some information over the last week. Freight's looking up. So we wanted to stop here, take another chance to talk to you guys about it. So, Mr. Akerman, you've been doing this for a long time. How long have you been driving?
52 years.
52 years. I'm almost that old.
I actually got into an argument with a guy last week on the road and told him I've been driving longer than you've been alive.
So, all right. Well, hey, guys, I want to get started here real quick. We've got about an hour here. We're going to go ahead and talk to the fleet out there. Mike, over the years, what have you seen out there season after season? I know that you, like you said, you've been driving 52 years. Surely you see the cycle in trucking out there. We were talking about it last weekend. What's one of the things that you've noticed over the years that is a continuous cycle year to year when you're starting to get into this summertime or midsummer?
Well, one thing I've noticed is there's a lot of companies out there. If you're trying to read the name on the side of their truck, even if you're an English major, you can't pronounce them.
You can't say that, Mike.
Is it too many straight consonants?
Yeah, there's no vowels.
No vowels in the words?
No vowels, and you see them, and then you don't see them. They come and go.
Well, that's one of the things that the safety conference I went to in Oklahoma City is one of the things they discussed. There's a lot of phantom companies out there. They're putting 2 or 3 guys in trucks under one DOT number when in all reality there's 100 trucks in this fleet, and they're pulling off fraud, and they're getting non-domiciled drivers in here that are obviously taking our jobs, but also that drives freight rates down, makes freight less available because they're out there running it for cheap. So that's very true what you see out there, and it's a lot of what's going on. One of the things that we've been trying to look at here is how do we talk to drivers and let them know that stuff's going on? Try to watch out for those things when these companies come in and offer huge cash to switch, and it's just empty promises when you get over there.
Well, you just got to be aware of what you're looking at.
Okay.
Because, the grass is always greener on the other side, as anybody with cows knows.
Yeah.
But when you start reading their ad and they start promising you things that are just unheard of, there's a reason it's unheard of.
Sure.
Because it's just fabrication. And a lot of these companies, they'll offer you the world, but 2-3 months down the road, the money that they had that they started with, where they leased a bunch of trailers, and now the leases come due on the trailers.
Yeah.
And they can't pay that. They're going to start not paying the people that's signed their truck on with them.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, they're collecting all the money, but they're not paying it out.
And we see a lot of that, even on the freight brokerage side. You'll have freight brokers pop up. They'll get what seems to be a decent bit of work. They'll get that taken care of, and they spend all the money that came in to get their operation going. There's nothing left over for carriers or for independent contractors out there, running their freight as well.
And maintenance, they don't keep maintenance up on their vehicles.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
No.
That's something that they're not going to spend their money on. And that makes the rest of the industry look bad.
And it does. It's one, and obviously there's regulations for a reason. If someone didn't do something dangerous or break a law, they wouldn't have a need for a regulation. But a lot of what I'm seeing is I still have an active profile on some trucking job site from back when I was driving. And I do get a lot of ads, and you're starting to see sign-on bonuses up to $25,000 to switch. Now, if you're a driver looking at something like that, how would you, Mike, interpret that if they're trying to put that kind of cash out there?
Well, in the first place, I'd know that it was BS.
Well, see, that's what I was going to say.
When
you've been around long enough, you can read right through the stuff, can't you?
Yeah.
I mean, you can read just right through it and say, okay, that's not right, or that's not, a $25,000 sign-on bonus. Okay. I mean, that's just got deception written all over it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And typically it's the fine print where you have to be there for 10 years and they're going to pay you out at this point. For a normal carrier that has, we had a referral bonus for a while. I think it was, I don't remember what the amount was, but it was paid out before a year was up or at the year, I think is what it was. And that's typically a reputable company will do something like that. But like I said, what I'm seeing out there is unheard of amounts for sign-on bonuses. And like I said, when you see that, obviously you see the red flags, but kind of go into detail a little bit more, because we have some young drivers out there, and they're out there on these job boards. They're into the technology. They know how to get their name out there if they want to be contacted. What would you suggest to them that they should look at and beware of outside of that, just the amounts of red flag? Because some of them don't. That's the landscape they know. They came into this business where big sign-on bonuses were a thing, and so they don't know anything different.
Well, I guess the main thing would be, when you see one of these ads pop up on Facebook or something like that, the main thing is go to the top, look at the name of the company, and then research them.
Okay.
And if they've been in business for, less than 15, 20 years, automatically that's a red flag. A lot of these guys they'll spring up, they'll get a DOT number or several DOT numbers, and they run them under different names. It's like a shell company.
Yeah.
And, you research who it is that's putting this out. I usually look at them and go, bullshit, and go to,
Where's that button at? I was looking for the button, Mike. I don't have, no, you're fine.
Well, I sent you one the other day.
Yep.
This company was looking for owner operators. They're offering $9,000 a week, dedicated run from, I think, Forsyth, Georgia to, Palmetto, Georgia to Memphis, Tennessee, all dropping hook, owner operators, 600 miles a day rounds.
The world. They're offering the world what they can't fulfill or sustain for a long period of time.
Well, in the first place, if they do have this lane, they took it from somebody else.
Sure.
And the only way they got it from someone else is because they dropped the rate to the point where they aren't making any money.
Yeah.
If they aren't making any money and they're offering you all this, it's just a matter of time before they aren't in business anymore.
And then and like owner operators that would sign on for that, because that's what that particular ad's for, they're going to go out there, put in some hard work, and it's going to come to the end of the month, and maybe they get a settlement at the end of the month, allows that company that time to shut down, and you're the guy left holding the bill for your fuel and all of your costs and expenses, and it's just not worth the risk taking eventually once you start looking and you think about it, a little forward thought.
Yeah, especially those companies that do like that. Okay, they it's interesting. Amazon does it, and there's that other one, Esco.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ego.
Yeah, something like that. Okay, you carry the insurance, you pay trailer rent, you pay your own diesel fuel. You have everything laying out there on the line.
Your own maintenance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And like you said, they get to the end and then, you didn't make this check call, or you didn't do this and you didn't do that. And pretty soon you start out at $9,000 a turn. By the time you pay for fuel and insurance and all that, you're down to making less than driver's wages. And I guess that's one of the sad things about, the trucking industry. Mike, you've been in it for a long time, taught me some good habits and some bad habits and stuff along the way on that. But, why is trucking one where there's so much like fraud and deception like that?
Deregulation.
Do you think that's what it is? Or is it
I think that was the beginning of it.
I mean, it really seems like you have to watch, as a driver, you have to watch stuff. And as a carrier, you got to watch stuff. It's just,
If you want to be a reputable carrier, you have to watch those things. But these companies that are coming on, with a 5-6 month plan, they're not planning on being in a full, long term.
right. Yeah,
We're a long term company.
Yeah.
We're not looking at, okay, well, we can do this and we can get enough piled up where we can shut down in 3 months. We're in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
And we care about our drivers and their families. We don't want somebody being stuck out there with their fuel card being turned off.
Right.
We don't want somebody being stuck in a scale house because our DOT score was so low that they are not going to let us go. We make sure that our drivers are qualified and certified.
Gotta tell you one thing here is state of Tennessee. Okay. We have had since the first of the month, today's like 20 something, I don't know. We've had like 9 inspections in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
All of them, some of them were the same guys 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
But all of them were perfect until they just got us this week with a air leak on a truck or whatnot. It's like, I went to Doug. I'm like, Doug, what's going on? What's up with Tennessee? And he's like, I don't know. They're just kind of picking on us. And it's like, wow, remember Tennessee when they used to be the toughest one to get through?
Yeah.
And I don't know, they're getting easier down there. But anyhow, get away from that. Go back to what we were talking about. Okay, drivers, back when you started driving, what was the type of driver was there then? You know what I mean? We had our CFs out there running. We had the Snyders. We had, those guys. But, you take a snapshot of in the truck stop back then, to take a snapshot at the convenience store that's there now at the truck stop. Boy, it's just, you still got some of those old dogs.
Yeah.
Okay. And you got some new guys that are wanting to make it a career.
Mm-hmm.
But there seems to be like just a lot of ones in between that make you wonder, doesn't it?
Well, back in the day, there were companies like Roadway.
Yep.
And they had professional drivers.
They wore a tie, didn't they?
They wore uniforms. They were, they were clean, they were respectful, and they were respected.
And if you got a job with them, that was top shelf.
That was a coveted job to get.
Yeah. But now you've got, and I'm not going to name any companies, but there's a lot of companies out there that you would expect to be fully professional, and they're hiring contractors that, uh, quite frankly, shouldn't drive a car. You know, you get to places and the guy can't back in the dock,
Yeah. Yeah.
but he's going down the road, driving beside your family, and it's scary.
So it's kind of a story here. A side note is back in when Kurt was in college, he worked at Menards.
Yeah.
These guys would come in, they couldn't back into the dock. He got $10 for backing it into the dock for them in their trucks.
Yeah.
It's like, how can you not back a truck? You know, it is true. What I'm getting at is jobs back then were a little bit fewer and far between. There wasn't a whole lot of trucking companies. You had to kind of know somebody. There was no recruiters. There was no anything like that. It was just a different world out there. But it was still as sketchy as stuff too, wasn't it?
Well, there was a lot of outlaw stuff going on.
And yeah, overload and
you know, we got paid for overloading, you know.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
that was where our money was, you know, was how much you can haul and how many a day. And, you know, but when I first started driving truck, I went to a couple of the guys that drove truck locally and I said, you know, anybody's looking for a truck driver? And they said, do you drive truck? I'm like, no, but yeah, I'm willing to learn.
Yeah.
And they said, well, so-and-so is looking for a truck driver. You know, that's basically what happened. I went out and seen the people and got hired with no experience, you know, just, you know,
Right.
driving around the farm.
You had to kind of be a mechanic back then though too, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
You know,
Because they always said, well, you learn how to drive a junker, then we'll put you in a good truck.
true.
You
You
know?
never got the new truck. did
Nope.
You always got the old one.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can make it to Atlanta and back with this one, we'll get you a new truck.
Yeah. And still today, I still carry tools with me in my truck.
You know, it's changed a lot. We have all this equipment in these trucks, and it tells you whether your tires are low or if there's somebody beside you or if your seatbelt's not fastened.
Yeah.
And all these things. But on the dash, it'll come up and say something, you know, service engine or you know, whatever, check engine or whatever and such. And man, we got guys that call and say, hey, I got a check engine light on. What do you do? Well, first thing we tell them is the same thing, everything. Drive the truck.
Yeah.
Drive the truck. So one of the things is you know, we're so there's a generation out there that they got these warning lights. They don't know what they mean, and I don't think the engineers know what they mean. But, hey, something's going on with this truck,
Yep.
and you know somebody needs to pay attention to it. Okay, one thing to remember for those guys that do run into that problem is if it just comes on, stays on, it's all good. Don't worry about it. If it comes on and it's flashing while you're going down the road, that means you got a problem.
Yeah.
But we get guys now, you know, they not know how to fix the truck, which is fine. But when there's a light that comes on, they want to stop driving the truck.
It's panic mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And those trucks, all of them, the Kenworths and the Volvos, they have the normal wrench light that comes on for check engine. But if there's a catastrophic problem, it has a stop sign that comes up and says stop. That's where
And
you
it will
need to.
stop the truck, too.
Yes, that's where you stop, make a phone
Yeah.
call and say, I don't know what's going on, but I don't want to damage the truck or the motor, and give us a call. But most of that stuff, a lot of that, and like you're alluding to, is a lot of it's software updates, just like our phones.
Oh,
They
pain.
Yeah, they send out software updates to these tractors, and typically what happens for us, if a tractor happens to make it through the dealership to get something done, they'll take care of it. But it's not going to be a separate trip where we just run a truck over there to do a 5-minute software update.
You ever have to drive a truck without air conditioning?
Yeah. A couple times a week.
A couple times a week. In South Georgia.
Yeah.
Did they even have air conditioning?
Well, the first truck that I ever owned had no power steering. Okay. Big 350 Cummins sitting up on top of the steer axle on a cab over.
And you were riding it like a pony.
Didn't know anything. You know. And nowadays these guys, you know, some of these Billy Big Riggers, you know, if you drive an automatic, you ain't a real truck driver. You know, you didn't complain when they added air ride suspension.
Sure.
You know, you didn't complain when they added power steering and air conditioning and all these other things. But automatic transmissions, where you draw the line, it makes my job easier. Okay? It makes my job easier. Therefore, I love it. If You know, you think shifting the gears makes you a truck driver. And I got to tell you, you're completely wrong.
Yeah.
You know, I had a guy work for me, and he came over to, I forget what the trucking company was. It had the skunk on the side. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Simon or
Yeah, I think it's Simon. Dick
Yeah.
Simons.
Yeah.
Dick Simon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all he ever drove was an automatic, but
Okay.
my truck was a 13 speed, and I hired him. And I said, "You start tomorrow." He said, "I got to tell you, I never drove a stick." I said, "Okay." I said, "Take my pickup truck out there. It's a 5-speed." I said, "Take it and go home. Go drive it around town. And tomorrow you come back and you drive my truck," you know? So that's what he did. And that's how he learned to drive a stick. I wasn't going to not hire the guy just because he never drove a stick.
Sure.
You know, I give him a chance. And he was a good driver. Now, he called me up one time and said, "I got a headlight out." I said, "Put one in it." "I don't know how," you know? Well, I'll walk you through it, you know, but you got to learn how to do this stuff.
Right.
So you trained him.
Well, basically, I let him kind of train himself, but if he ran into a problem, he could call me.
Okay.
You know?
Well, you know, part of it is you used to have to be able to figure things out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
If you're all by yourself somewhere and your truck's not running, you became a mechanic because you figured out how to make that baby run because it's cold outside.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. Now it's you pick up the phone. I don't know what to do. I wonder if the cell phones, have they helped the industry or hurt it really? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you even listen to your CB?
Oh, yeah.
What do you listen for?
I keep my squelch kind of cut low,
Okay,
you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do, that's part of my pre-trip. I turn my CB on and I make sure it's calibrated so that, you know,
Okay.
I cut my squelch so that you got to be within 1.5 miles of me,
Okay. Sure.
you know. But yeah, I do keep it on
Yeah.
because
Well, you just gave me an example when you were coming up here last night that you were able to use it and help another bull hauler out, and you guys were able to get around the train tracks and stuff like that.
Oh,
right down here
Oh, sure.
at midnight last night.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I sit there for 20 minutes. I gave him 20 minutes, you know, and I figured the engineer was wearing flip flops. I don't know, because it would just stopped. But I said, okay, bull rack was behind me. And I said, "Cut your headlights off so I can see, because I'm going to back up and turn around," you know. And he said, okay. He said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I'm going down Church Road and go around this." I got 2 minutes left on my log and I got 3 miles to go. You know,
That equation doesn't work out, just for the record, as a safety director.
right. I'm not going to sit here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here any longer because
Sure.
of the stupid train.
Yeah,
you know?
it ran your time out where else you would have made it illegally, but legally.
So I backed up and he followed me around. Of course, he had his radio on, you know,
Sure.
and he followed me around and he told me thank you. And we went all the way around and the train was still sitting there stopped.
Yeah.
And we had sat there for 20 minutes. And I thought about I'd give him a half hour, but at 20 minutes, my patience was
Your
done.
patience ran up. It's like getting late.
Yeah.
So kind of getting back to what Rick was talking about, the kind of the differences between, you know, then and now. One of the things that I've noticed out there that's a little bit different, and maybe I'm reading it wrong. Sometimes truck drivers aren't perceived as the best human beings or the cleanest human beings or whatever the public's perception is. One of the things that I had a problem gathering, I think in the beginning, it took me a little bit, was some pride in what I did. When I started out straight out of high school into factory work and manufacturing, I knew what I manufactured. I knew what it went to. And I was like, hey, I did that, or I was a part of that.
Mhm.
And when I got into trucking, until I got to talk to some guys that have been doing it for a while, I was like, man alive, they treat us terrible. What is the problem here? And then you get to start to know guys that have been doing it a while, and they kind of teach you that, yeah, this is what we do. This is what we're bringing to the country. And once the full scope of everything came in, which I've tried to help our guys see what we do. I mean, we help put up buildings, you know, the wiring for the buildings, the van guys pull all that down there for them. I mean, it's a tremendous sense of pride for me in this job. And honestly, every time I've tried to get out of this industry, I end up right back in it because I miss that when I'm away. And I do really think that that's one of the biggest missing components that's in this industry today.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, you know, if you work for a company that had, say, 15 drivers, you may have one guy that looked like he was homeless, you know, out of the bunch. Now, if you got a company that's got 15 drivers, you may have 4 guys that look like they're homeless because they just don't care.
Yeah.
They jump out of bed, they put their sweatpants on, and, you know, down the road they go.
Why?
There's no.
Is it just another job?
They don't care.
I mean, you hear them talk about, oh, it's a lifestyle. Okay, is it really a lifestyle? I mean, you work because you want to, you know, you've worked all your life because you have to make money. You've got these horses you like to waste money on and all that and such like that. You know.
I don't like to waste money on it.
Okay, well,
That's just a byproduct.
And then they attack you.
Yeah. You know, but you know, some people say it's a lifestyle. The lifestyle's changed a lot, hasn't it? I think that's kind of where we're going.
Oh, yeah.
The trucking is. I mean, it used to be you would go trucking all week. You'd get back. You'd wash your truck. You'd grease your truck, and you'd leave out again.
Yes.
And that's what it was. You know, the industry has kind of changed to where, you know, sad to say, I see drivers pull in here sometime, and I don't think the brakes are set hardly, and they're out the door in their car and down the road, and then they come in Monday morning and it's about that quick for them to get going again. It's like, you know, it's the quickest post trip and trips I've ever seen. You know, that guy's really good.
I've watched it happen. I've seen on Friday afternoons, guys will pull in and back up, and they don't care if they're putting an empty trailer on the pad for where the loaded trailers go, because screw the next guy. I'm just getting a parking spot and going home. To me, if it's Friday and I pull in, I'm going to fuel up.
And clean the trash out of the truck. Right?
Because when I get in there Monday morning, I don't want to spend a half hour, 45 minutes getting ready to go because, you know, I'm probably going to oversleep Monday morning anyhow. You know?
Yeah, sure.
So I don't want to make myself later, because if you screw up Monday, you screwed up the whole week.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I was talking to a driver. He came in middle of the day today. Charles, if you're out there, hello. 30 minutes late. He said he took off. He's just and this is not a gentleman that makes too many errors when it comes to trucking. He is spot on. And that half hour cost him in Columbia City to get reload. It cost him 5 hours because now he's a work-in at the next appointment. When he got to delivery, he's a work-in because he was late.
84?
He's only 84. I think it's 83 or 84.
You know, and he felt bad about it.
I got time.
You know?
but the idea was he sat there and just explained that 30 minutes ended up costing him nearly 20 hours by the end of the week. And so
it just snowballs.
Yep,
well,
absolutely.
Everybody wants it scheduled tight.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I want my miles. I want to get home. I want to spend my time at home. Okay, so great, guys. We can get you your miles and we can get you home. But you got to do the stuff in the middle.
You got to plan it.
You got to, trip planning.
Yeah.
You know,
Now,
things like that.
I want to be fair. This never happens to him. This is just an anomaly.
I understand. You're not singling him out. You're just saying
that's just an example of exactly what we were talking about right there. And it's unfortunately, and we have guys call in. We try to explain to them, hey, you had an extra hour here. If you drove this extra hour on your clock, it would have put you in position for this. And then, you know, I've heard Kurt do it, Justin do it. I've done it. Brian's done it. And at the end of the week, they found 15 hours for this guy where he would have been ahead, extra load, extra revenue for the driver, especially flatbed when they're paid on percentage. But even a van driver, 500 miles, that's pretty good extra money on that paycheck.
Well, I told my wife last week, it was just last week, I told her, I said, my load does not start when I get in the truck and take off.
Okay.
My load starts, and this is the truth. I told her this. When they dispatch me, I look up and see where it is I'm going. It may be the day ahead of time. I want to know where I'm going, what time my pickup is, and what kind of traffic am I going to have to fight to get there. Because I want to be on time for my pickup.
Exactly.
I want to actually be early. Because most times you're early,
They'll let you in there.
They'll let you in and let you go. But they're scheduling their stuff tight too. So if you got a 10 o'clock appointment and you show up at 10:30, the 11 o'clock guy may be sitting there getting loaded. Now you're in there until 11:30, 12 o'clock.
waiting. Or if you're delivering to a Walmart, a Costco. I mean, we had someone in our captive reach out to us, our insurance captive, trying to deliver down in Atlanta, Georgia to a Costco. The driver didn't make the appointment. This was 4 days ago, and they said the earliest available appointment was the 30th of this month. Now, we were going to help them out and put their trailer at our lot down there in Georgia, but that's exactly right. Walmart, you show up 10 minutes late, forget it. You're sitting until tomorrow.
That's right.
They don't mess around with it anymore.
Yeah, but you got to plan. You got to plan, and you got to know. And they'll ask me sometimes. They'll say, "Well, we got a loading out of somewhere tomorrow. You know, what time would you like your appointment?"
Yeah.
Okay, so the gears start going in my head. Okay, what time am I going to have to go through Atlanta? You know, if I load in Buford, I'm going to have to come up and go through it. You know, go around Atlanta, and then after I load, I'm going to have to go back around it again. So I want my appointment like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So I can get there after the morning rush and get out before the afternoon rush.
But you're thinking that far ahead in your planning, and it obviously helps you be more efficient. You turn 2 rounds on the weekend, you get it done. I mean, we don't have any issues with it. I don't think I've ever seen you late to an appointment where you haven't had a breakdown. So, I mean, do you pick up? Yeah, well, you have, but you've been around him a lot longer.
Yeah, but that was only because I was in jail.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think that counted.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you know, one of the things on you know, we're coming. Freight is again changing again. Okay, we go back and think, oh man, COVID days. Those are great freight rates and blah blah blah. You know, you know, right now freight is starting to come back up again. It's starting to get busy again. They're really kind of calling it like a super cycle or something like that, and then where it's really going to be taken off and such. And you know, part of that is just to play on words on people what they're busy now. You know, granted, we've lost like 250,000 drivers to that can't speak English or non-domicile
yep.
or whatever it is. I don't even know
well,
what it
to be honest, those weren't drivers to begin with.
Well,
they were seat fillers.
True.
Yeah.
True.
And you see a lot of them out there. You see a lot of seat fillers out there. People that can't read, you know, left lane closed ahead. They either can't read it or they totally ignore it. You know, their left lane is going to be closed ahead. So I'm going to just stay in the left lane until, you know, the barrels come up.
Yeah.
You know, but there are a lot of people out there that are seat fillers, you know, and some of these companies, they don't care.
So we don't want seat fillers.
No.
Okay. So as we go out looking for drivers, okay, and you know, we're looking for drivers. They have to, Justin takes them through whatever to make sure that they are legal and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Then Doug's got to do the, make sure to vet them safety wise and such. One of the things we have trouble to understand, and maybe I was hoping we get to talk today about a little bit, is we get the guys in here. They've been vetted. You know, they have a CDL. They have a pretty clean MBR and such. Doug's taken them out. He's test drove them, and they can do all the work. But they get in here, Mike, and this isn't just for us. We're in how many different peer groups and stuff like that with truckload carriers and our insurance captive and such. And everyone has the same thing here. It's like, okay, we do all this stuff, and we get the driver in here, and within a month, 2 months, it's like reality hit them or something. It's like, well, I don't know if this is what I want to do, or is that what you would say it is? You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's just kind of like, wait, but you said you wanted to make this much money and you were okay with being home, you know, a couple nights during the week or every weekend or whatever. What's changed? And we just can't get the guys to understand that. As being an older guy here now, you've seen it, and you see how sometimes we bend over backwards for these guys. Where if that was you years ago, you would have been, you know, still driving that old junk truck to Atlanta with no air conditioning, whatnot. But what do you think? Do you think the guys? Is it so easy to move jobs that they just move jobs and they don't understand that they're not gaining anything, or do they not know what they want?
I think every individual has their own agenda.
Oh,
And when you first see them, that's part of your job is to dig and find out what their agenda is. You know, are they looking for something that's just going to hold them over until their brother-in-law buys another truck? Or are they looking for something where they can make a heap of money? And then, you know, I had drivers, you know, as soon as they got a little money on their hip, you know, then they wanted to lay down, you know. And the guy that would go out there and, you know, man, he's doing a good job, you know, he's busting it. And as soon as he got a little bit of money, you know, then he wanted to lay down. I need to find somebody that's, you know, their goal is what we're looking for. You know, somebody that's wanting a job, they're wanting a steady income, they're wanting to drive good equipment. They care about us as a company. When I go into a place, every customer I got, they love me, or at least they act like they do. Maybe
is it more than just customers?
Yeah, maybe after I'm gone, they say, you know, that old guy, you know. But I try and impress on them that, you know, we're here to serve you. We care about you guys.
Yeah.
So that they'll care about us. I'm not out there trying to promote that we're a crappy company, you know?
Exactly.
Because if I go out there and put my best foot forward with these customers, that keeps them customers. That keeps my money on my hip.
And the customers come back to us and they let us know. They talk to you guys. I mean, even the van drivers down in Tanner, Alabama for Polaris, those guys, they knew them. I mean, we had a gentleman retire and the shipping clerk made him a basket of gifts for his retirement. And he was an employee of ours.
Yeah.
So it absolutely goes a long way.
Well, just this week up at New Millennium, you said they were bragging on a couple of all of our drivers.
Yeah, they were
of wearing their hard hats and their safety stuff.
So we were out there. I think it was Brett and I were out there just having a conversation. I was standing on the side of his truck and I was like, hey, there's this idiot in this truck over there. When I was sorry, but this is idiotic. When I was here last time, a few months ago, I recognized that truck number. And I said, and he was up on top of the deck and he was standing on a tarp and the wind caught it and it flung him off the back of the trailer. It picked him up just like a parachute. And I said, I'm not sure if that's the same guy or not. And sure enough, I looked straight through in his mirror on the passenger side and I can see that chain station. He is standing clean on the top of that load. And of course, you got the yard drivers that called Micah out there. And so when he came out there, he's like, man, I'm so glad I don't have to deal with this out of your guys' drivers. And he did. I want to be fair. He said, our house carriers, you and Cookie. So they're very grateful for our guys that go in there. We don't give them problems like that right there. And therefore, it allows us to do things like offer that $2,000 guarantee on that flatbed side because they trust us to haul their stuff and they trust us going to make it in the same way that they put it on the trailer to their customer.
So, Mike, do you think, as we talk here a little bit about, drivers coming in and driving and not knowing what they want, what's your suggestion for a driver out there that is driving now? It's like, oh, it's got to be better somewhere else, or it's got to be, these other people are asking me, the grass is greener over here and such like that. What questions take us out of the equation? You're just sitting there talking to this guy leaning up against the fuel island out here. What? And he says, I'm thinking about leaving, or I'm just not happy with this job. What would you ask him? What questions would you say, buddy? What's
there'd be a couple of different questions I would ask him. One is, why are you unhappy where you're at? And what is it you want? Because
you think there's unrealistic expectations out there?
Well, yeah, everybody, everybody's got expectations of how money's going to fall from the sky, but it doesn't happen.
$25,000.
I was going to say, I was just getting ready to say that. Yeah.
For that one, but okay.
It just doesn't happen. You have to work for a living. Okay. We're working people. What kind of work do you want to do for what kind of reward? If you're expecting $3,000 a week, you better be willing to put in $3,000 worth of work.
Yeah. isn't that something there? And I don't mean to cut you short, but you get sometimes those guys that want to make all this money, but they want to do it in less and less time, you know, and because they think, oh, my neighbor's making more money, so therefore I need to make more money, but they don't want to put in the extra time, you know.
Well, I learned a long time ago that you got to work to get paid. You know,
Doesn't matter if you're in the factory, if you're in the.
I mean,
the
you start
seal
work.
where you used to work or whatever.
You started work what when you was 10 or something like that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think you was working down to hog farm when you was like 10 years old, and you haven't quit, have you? Yeah, I mean, you obviously you haven't made the amount of money that you want to make in your lifetime.
Well, no. What part of the thing is, Mike? Let's be real. Okay, if you would quit working, what would you do?
I would listen to my wife.
You'd probably die.
Yeah,
You'd probably die, right?
yeah.
That's all you know how to do is work.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Yeah.
Yes, we all sit here and say, "Oh man, when I make it, I'm gonna sit back and take it easy and da da da." It's like people say, you know, I'm gonna win if I win the lottery, you know, I'm not gonna work anymore. No, you're gonna work probably twice as hard because
Everybody's going to try to take that money.
Gonna try to take your money. Yeah.
Yeah. Even though I get frustrated with some of the antics that people do to me out on the road, you know, and like I said, I have to repent several times a day, you know, for losing my temper. My solitude is in that truck. You know, I get in that truck and I feel like I'm doing something. When I graduated from high school, I worked at Ford Motor Company on the assembly line.
Lima?
Yeah, over in Lima.
Okay. Yeah.
I had a great job.
Sure.
Full insurance, you know, was making $7.35 an hour in 1972. That was pretty good money.
That is pretty good money.
Yeah.
Then.
And had a good retirement, 30 year and out or some crap like that. I don't know. But I would wake up.
Retired by now.
Okay. 40 years ago. I would have been. But I would wake up in the middle of the night doing that press that I was running.
Yeah.
And I got to the point where I felt like I was a machine. That's all I was I was repetitive doing this over and over and over. And I said, I can't do this no more. I was having nightmares. I had to get in the truck. My dad drove truck. My brother-in-law drove truck, you know, and that's where I felt at ease. And I love to drive. I don't care where we're going. I got to be driving. And I don't care how fast we're going. I got to be driving.
Yeah.
You know, but my solitude is in that truck.
Right.
I can get in the truck and.
So the first question you'd ask this guy who's, you know, what do you want?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and do you think that people just don't know what they want? Is that why people are more irritable and such like that? What would it be?
I think a lot of people have expectations of what they want, but when they get it, they really find out that that's not what they wanted.
Not what they wanted after all.
Yeah.
Well, and
Exactly.
are the expectations realistic, or has our industry with these $25,000 sign-on bonuses just painted unrealistic expectations for carriers that are in it for the long haul?
Well, and it's one of those things. The more you make, the more you spend.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what people keep saying, that, you know, I got a nephew that lives out in New York City, and he makes lots of money.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he spends a lot of money.
Good at
Yeah.
spending it too.
And so at the end of the day, here he is living in Manhattan as a CEO of a company out there and such, making all kinds of money. He don't even own a car. He don't own his house. He don't own. I mean,
Anything.
If the merry-go-round stops, okay, he don't have a place to sit.
Yeah.
Or whatever that. What's that game? Well, anyhow,
Yep.
What I'm getting at is you know, you get somebody who's working. They're always looking, saying somebody's got it better than them, don't they?
Well, I remember a saying that I heard a long time ago from your brother.
Uh-oh, where's the
Okay.
button?
Okay. You don't hire good help. You steal them. You know, if a guy comes in here and he's looking for a job and he don't have a job, there's a reason he don't have a job. You know, if he's worth a nickel,
Almost had the button there.
if he's worth a nickel he's already working because somebody has scooped him up.
Sure.
And
Yeah, but on that, it's a totally different landscape, I think, nowadays, where a lot of guys just in their head are always looking for that next best and greatest thing. It's not essentially someone that's not qualified or not even a good driver, because we've hired plenty of good drivers. We've had several really good drivers come through here that we've picked up. What circumstances brought them here, I couldn't tell you. But I think that's the way it used to be quite a bit. Not to, completely disagree with you, but I think us as an industry, even on our side, recruiting and things, we've kind of drove it to that a little bit with just keeping up the ante to where we've gotten towards unrealistic expectations out there. And even when I started here, had a vision of I'm going to have this, and this when I start this career. And I ended up getting to where I wanted to. It just took longer than what I thought. And it took patience, saving some cash to buy a truck and so on and so forth, where it seems like everybody wants everything right now.
That's our society.
It really is.
That's our society. It's now.
Yeah.
It's like that sign-on bonus we were talking about, $25,000. They think people are going like, oh, I get 20. Honey, I want to change jobs. They're going to give me $25,000. Yeah, it's like, yeah, let me write that out for you.
Yeah.
Can you deliver a load first? Oh, no, you don't.
Yeah.
Take the money.
Give me that check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that some of that's on us as an industry as well. And I'm including all of us in there because that's a driver, it's an office staff, it's everything. Everyone's contributed to it.
Yeah. I remember a Billy Graham sermon that I heard, and he was talking about, and this was 40, 50 years ago that he broadcast this. He said, everybody wants it instant coffee. He said he was over in China and he said they had TV that was instant on. And he said, I got to have one of them, And he said he still hadn't got one, but he wanted one. He said, everyone wants it instantly. You want it now,
And like most things, instant coffee is terrible.
Well,
when you cut corners and you take the shortcuts, you get an inferior product, an inferior driver, an inferior company at that point in time.
Yeah.
So when you look at drivers and such, and we talked there about their pay and such, and going up and down the road and their driving habits, and your habits have changed over the years, haven't they? And so,
yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to get into too much stuff because I don't know if the statute of limitations have ran out.
That's waiting.
Sure.
But I used to be kind of an outlaw, and things have changed.
For the better or worse, would you say?
Well,
look now.
Things have gotten better, okay, but there are more vehicles on the road now than what there was when I started.
Yeah.
And everybody, like I said before, everybody's got their own agenda, and they think if they cut you off, they're going to save minutes, but they end up the next stoplight beside you. Sure. Everybody's in such a hurry to get nowhere, and just because there's room for you to cut in between me, is it safe?
Right.
I mean, and kind of my light switch, which focused me on safety as a driver. I don't know. I think I've shared this before, is I had a safety director at the company I did my longest time at. And she asked me, she goes, okay. She goes, I noticed you like to get through Chicago quickly. I said, yes, I have a bad habit of that. In the 94 right through town. We couldn't take 294 because 300 trucks that go back and forth between Wisconsin and the East Coast gets pretty expensive throughout the week.
And it's getting worse.
It does. It continues to get worse. But she says, okay, you do it your way, you time it. And so at the Indiana state line, coming back from the East Coast, I'd started the timer at the Indiana state line. And she said, I want you to stop it in Russell, Illinois, right there at the state line with the TA. Russell Road, right there.
Yeah.
And she goes, I want you to do that up and then back down your way. And she goes, then I want you to do it my way. I want you to get in the right lane or get out of that right lane, in one lane over, so you don't have to mess with traffic. And she goes, do it at the speed limit, up and down through there. Well, my problem was I was going lane to lane, pushing drivers. I was impatient. I was not a safe driver in the beginning, but I did it her way at the speed limit. And ultimately I did less miles because I wasn't doing this through the highway, and I saved time because I wasn't running up to the next traffic jam, sit. And then also my frustration level as a driver, the road rage went down immediately. Yeah. I noticed an immediate difference in my demeanor, which also set me up to honestly be safer without me even knowing it. And she tricked me into it. So, but yeah, that's one of the things like you're discussing patience.
Yeah. My biggest problem is okay, this isn't popular among everybody, but my biggest problem is the electronic log. The government telling me when I'm tired, that forces me to sometimes, if my clock's running close, that forces me to be a more aggressive driver because I'm getting ready to run out of time, but I want to make it here.
Well, it puts that sense of urgency in your head. And I think what's difficult then, it was for me as well, because my brain starts running twice as fast. I got to get this done. But it forces you that little bit of that willpower just to peel back a little bit and say, hey, I still got to get it there safely. And like you and I were talking last weekend, the rest of our entire fleet and us office staff rely on you guys doing that job professionally and making that decision in that last mile when time's getting close to drive that mile the same as you did when you came out with a fresh 11 and you felt like you had more time in that cushion there.
Well, if you notice on me in particular, I've had a few instances where following too close according to the computer.
Yeah.
And they always happen when I get to Georgia, when I'm headed home or headed to my delivery.
Yep.
Because I'm like focused on this thing over here is telling me I got this amount of time. And I know that I got to get there, or I'm going to violate.
Yeah. Which we don't need.
So Mike, though, on the other hand, if you still had paper logs, would that be worse than having to worry about that?
No, because I just lie.
Oh,
and
boy.
once again, he's back
We
to
are
repenting.
live. Yes, I was going to say.
Hey, I'll tell you what, anybody that's ever done paper logs and said they didn't lie, they're a liar for that.
You didn't hear me say that I didn't lie on my
You
logs.
hear what I'm saying? You sit here and say, oh, because you were working for me when we had to bring the ELDs in and such, and it's like, man, it's going to be so bad. Don't you see guys not dead dog tired?
Oh, yeah.
It used to be, how much sleep have you got this week? Oh, I've had 4 hours all week. I mean, those days we used to have.
Yeah.
Or weeks we used to have.
Well,
now you see guys, they're like, a little more congenial when you talk to them because they've slept.
I had a friend of mine, he used to drive for Con West. Remember Con West?
Con West, oh yeah.
Yeah. And his nickname was Half Dead, because he always looked half dead, and he is deceased now. He's been gone about 4 or 5 years. But
he ran to Connecticut, East Coast all the time, didn't they?
Yeah.
They run up Connecticut overnight.
Yeah.
And turn around right back.
It's
crazy.
Yeah, and
big Peterbilts, big everything, but
oh yeah, they had nice trucks.
They ran to death.
They ran you to death.
Yeah.
It was kind of like the Monfort trucks, and I mean, and they was fast and they was pretty,
right.
But
well, are we coming to our time now, guys?
Yeah, we're getting pretty close
all
there.
Right.
We're fine though.
All right. Well, I want to make sure that we get Mike back in here to do a story on kind of how he got into trucking and
I can't wait.
And why he's still in trucking and and whatnot, and some of the adventures along the lines in trucking. And I'm sure there's that, but you got a new driver. You're Justin's job. You're trying to hire a driver and such like that, or you're talking to a driver that's not happy right now. Just what's your last words to somebody, before we leave them today and such? Okay, what would you suggest for them?
Well, I guess just what do you want? What are you looking for? Because if you can't find it here, that doesn't mean that's the end of your trucking career.
No.
We offer a lot, and I'm happy here. That doesn't mean the next guy is going to be. But if you're not happy here, what is it you're looking for? Because I get everything I need right here. So for me.
And why do you get it? Because what do you do? You communicate, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Communication.
And that's probably one of the biggest things.
That's why you have turn signals on your truck, is to communicate. You got to communicate to the other people that, you're changing. Communication is the main thing in the whole business. You got to communicate with your dispatchers. If you're going to be running late or you have a problem, you got to communicate with the garage. The dispatcher has to communicate with the shipper.
And if you're not happy about something, you need to communicate, not in a forceful way, but just, hey, guys, here's what or
Yep.
maybe you're struggling with something. Maybe life at the house isn't the best right now because of something going on or whatever. But if we don't know, and then all of a sudden we get, what you guys are just, you terrible. You don't understand. Well, we don't understand because you're not telling us anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's easy when you've already got this anxiety inside of you about something that may be happening at home.
Yep.
You'll lash out at whatever's closest.
Well, you're mad about something at the house, and then that guy cuts you off in traffic, and then dispatch calls up and says, "Why are you late?"
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they can't yell at their wife at the house because it's already bad. They can't yell at that guy in that car. But when dispatch calls and saying, "Why'd you leave late?" Now they got somebody on the phone and they're going, "Whoa, you don't understand what's okay."
Yeah. And
people,
as a rule, a lot of people don't want to take responsibility for their own actions. If something happens, the first thing that happens is you're trying to figure out, what can I say?
Yeah.
You're not thinking, I messed up. That would be bad. That would be bad to tell them that it was my fault. So, you're looking at somebody to blame it on. And if you can blame it on, well, the reason I'm fighting with my wife is because of my job. Hey, that's cool.
Or let's talk it through.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Is be able to communicate. Like you said,
Communicate.
turn signals. That's a great thing. Communication. Let us know what's going on.
I'm waiting for those to be optional equipment on vehicles here pretty soon because nobody uses them.
Turn signal?
Yes.
Well, I still use mine. And I told my wife, I said, integrity to me means you're on a 2-lane road at 3:00 in the morning by yourself out in the country and you still use your turn signal.
Yep.
It's
Exactly.
just what you do.
Yeah.
It's just what you do. You're coming up, you're turning.
Yeah.
Because you're a
You do.
professional, you take pride in your craft,
Yeah.
and you do have integrity even when nobody's watching.
That's right.
So, all right, guys. Hey, I think that was a good discussion today. We're going to wrap up this one. I look forward to come back in, Mike. We will sit down and record 6 hours if we need to and put that out there in several chunks because I have a feeling that's going to be good.
Okay, but my agenda is, do I get paid for the 6 hours?
Sure.
You don't have to log it.
You don't have to log that one as on duty. We'll let that one go.
Okay.
So, all right, everybody. I want to leave you this one thing right here for communication purposes. We had a gentleman come in here and we discussed the golden rule. Treat everybody like you want to be treated. And one of the things that he brought up to us was he lives by a platinum rule, and that is treat everyone as they want to be treated. Mm-hmm. So, but what that takes from you guys is communicating to us how you want things, how you want to be treated. And no, this isn't Burger King. We can't do it your way right away all the time. But I'll tell you what, with any company I've ever worked for, this place sure has been over backwards for a lot of people, including myself. So guys, if you have something you need to say or something's bothering you and you just want to talk it out, give us a call here at the shop. Every time that you guys call in, whether we answer or not, if you tell us it's important, we do get back to you. So just keep it up out there, guys. You're doing a great job. I sent a few trainings out today. One of them was our CSA update for the month of June. Took that hard hit for unsafe, but take a look at that, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good weekend out there and look forward to talking to you guys next week.
Down at the new Millennium Gates, where the heavy iron weights, the dawn breaks cold against the diesel grates. You're cinching down the chains on a skeleton of steel, feeling every pound through the steering wheel. Copper cords going like a copperhead snake, tied to the fabric with no room for a mistake. It's a wide, low gamble on a narrow strip road, carrying the weight of a monumental load. This is for the kings of the outside lane, the ones who conquer the mountain and the rain. The Logisticize 104 is calling out your name, for the grit in your teeth and the pride in the frame. Moving the bones of the cities yet to rise. bolted to a trailer floor. It's a pulse of the country knocking in at the door. They see an oversized sign and they pull to the side, but they don't know the mystery deep in the ride. From the trust to the corner to the long haul climb, you're punching the clock against the hammer of time. The asphalt's a teacher and the lessons are hard, measuring the inches in the gravel strewn yard. You navigate the turns where the weak carts fail, leaving a silver streak on the lonesome trail. Your millenniums pass with their hands on the gear, filtering the static till the mission is clear. No room for the timid when the tonnage gets high, just the roar of the engine under a wide open sky. This is for the kings of the outside lane, the ones who conquer the mountain and the rain. The Logisticize 104 is calling out your name, for the grit in your teeth and the pride in the frame.